Welcome back to Military Comebacks. Today's story will make your pulse race, lift your spirit, and fill you with pride. It's about bravery born in silence and a voice that returned when the world needed it most, because not every hero wears a uniform. Sometimes they're simply sitting quietly in seat 14A. The cabin lights glowed softly as Flight 982 cruised at 36,000 feet. Passengers scrolled through their phones, sipped coffee, and drifted in and out of sleep. Hardly anyone noticed the woman in seat 1 for Aya, quiet traveler with short dark hair, eyes that had known endless skies, and a small silver pendant shaped like wings resting at her collarbone. To everyone else, she was just another commercial co-pilot heading home after a layover, but the story behind her calm expression had been written in jet trails and midnight missions. Her name was Alyssa Reigns. Once a pilot in the United States Air Force, she had flown F-16 Fighting Falcon jets and trained among the best. After a devastating injury during a rough landing, she was permanently grounded. The sky had been her heartbeat. Losing it felt like learning to breathe without lungs. Now she flew commercial routes, steady, professional, almost invisible. Seat 14A was meant to be a quiet rest. It's just another routine flight. 2 hours into the journey, somewhere over the Atlantic, something shifted. The steady hum of the engines faltered. A strange vibration rippled through the aircraft, subtle at first, then stronger. Alyssa's head snapped up. That wasn't turbulence. That was an engine slipping out of rhythm. The captain's voice came over the intercom, calm but strained. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're experiencing a minor technical issue. Please remain seated." The announcement cut off. A violent shudder rocked the plane. Oxygen masks dropped from the ceiling. A child screamed. Smoke curled from the right engine. The first officer, a young pilot named Daniels, hurried down the aisle trying to reassure passengers. Alyssa unbuckled and caught his arm. "What's the failure?" she asked evenly. "Engine 2's on fire? Or attempting a restart?" "Wait, do I know you?" "Alyssa Reigns," she replied quietly. "Air Force call sign Valkyrie." Daniels froze. He knew that name the pilot who once landed on a burning runway in Iraq and saved her wingman's life. Cockpit. Now he said, inside, chaos reigned. Alarms blared. Red lights flashed. Smoke crept from the control panel. The captain struggled to steady the aircraft. "Engine 2's gone. Hydraulics are failing. We're losing altitude." Alyssa slid into the jump seat, scanning instruments as years of training surged back. "Divert to Gander," she instructed. "Nearest field that can handle a 737. There's a fire spreading in the starboard nacelle. Shut off the fuel flow. Now." Her voice carried command, not suggestion. Captain complied. The flames began to die down. Then came a sharp pop-hand silence. "Radio's out," Daniels shouted. The communications system had fried with the right-side circuits. They were airborne and alone. Alyssa reached into her carry-on and pulled out an old military headset. She plugged it into the emergency communications port. Static crackled, then a faint voice emerged. "This is North American Aerospace Defense Command. Identify transmission." Alyssa closed her eyes briefly. Before responding, her tone crisp and unmistakable. "Valkyrie, civilian flight 982, engine 2 out. Dual radio failure. Requesting vector to nearest emergency strip. Coordinates incoming." Silence. "Then copy that." "Valkyrie, confirm call sign." "Confirmed."
Within minutes. 2.
Raptor interceptors were launched, cutting through the clouds like steel arrows. In the command center, heads turned. The name carried history. The pilot, who had once vanished from active records after saving an entire squadron. Back in the cockpit, Alyssa coordinated through the emergency channel, guiding the crippled aircraft through violent weather. Her hands were steady, her breathing measured. It was the calm of someone who had faced death before and refused to flinch. Passengers prayed and held each other. A little girl near the front peered through the curtain and whispered, "Mom, is that lady flying the plane?" Through tears. Her mother nodded. "Yes, sweetheart. She's saving us." A flash of silver appeared outside the storm clouds. An F-22 pulled alongside, wings gleaming in the rain. "Valkyrie, we have you in sight. the pilot's voice said, edged with awe. Good to see you again, ma'am. The Raptors formed escort, one on each side, steady and watchful. The landing was brutal. With one engine dead and hydraulics barely responding, the aircraft struck the runway hard. Sparks burst along the tarmac. Tires screamed. The fuselage shuddered. Then dashed stillness, they were down. Alive, applause and sobs filled the cabin. Strangers embraced. All eyes drifted toward seat 1 for A. The seat no one had noticed before. Alyssa quietly unbuckled and looked out at the approaching fire crews. For a moment, she closed her eyes. The roar of engines, the scent of smoke, the weight of the controls, it all stirred the life she thought she'd left behind. Reporters gathered quickly, cameras flashing. When asked how she managed it, she simply said, I was in the right seat at the right time. Later, near the runway, as the sun dipped behind the hangars, the F-22 pilots approached her. They stood respectfully in their flight suits. Ma'am, when we heard your call sign, we couldn't believe it. You're a legend at the academy. Alyssa gazed up at the sky she once called home. I'm no legend, she said softly. I'm just a pilot who still answers when the sky calls. In the weeks that followed, footage of the emergency spread everywhere. Commentators hailed her as the guardian of Flight 982. But Alyssa avoided the spotlight. She returned to work. Once again sitting in seat 14A, watching, listening, ready. Because for Alyssa Reigns, known as Valkyrie, the sky's call never truly fades. And somewhere above the clouds, there are still voices that remember her name. If this story lifted your heart like a jet breaking through a storm, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Air.
At Military Comebacks, we don't just share stories. We honor the moments when ordinary people become extraordinary, exactly when the world needs them most.